Broncos country. How's it going tonight, guys? This is Eddie and Mohammed with Rocky Mountain Blitz. So we got a lot of things to get into tonight. Of course, going over the game recap and some other things we wanted to talk to. But the first thing I want to talk about, it just, the news just broke about 30 minutes ago. Josh Reynolds has been waived by the Denver Broncos. What's your reaction to that, Mohammed?
Eddie, I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you. I mean, I did expect it, just not now, because I know we were talking about last week and the week before, like what's up with Josh Reynolds? He's healthy, but he's not playing. And if they don't want him, why is he still in the roster? Is he hurt? Like, did they try to trade him? There was so many questions, but I guess the question's answered now. Why do it now? I don't know, Eddie. They have a lot of confidence on Mims now. Sutton, Vile.
Um,
I don't
I
know.
think it's Vele, honestly.
Vile, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
because we talked about it last week. I think Vele is that Tim Patrick slash Josh Reynolds 2.0. He's younger, he's cheaper, and honestly, with all the depth they have, like honestly, I wish they would have just cut little Jordan Humphrey and just kept Josh Reynolds. Like, I mean, yeah, I understand you got Marvin Mims, you got Troy Franklin, Cortland Sutton, Jordan Humphrey, and Devon Vele, and it's like honestly, I would have kept Josh Reynolds. You paid him this offseason for a reason. Like, why would you bring him in and just, cut him like almost at the end of the season? It makes no sense. Um, but yeah, it was just weird to me. Like we kind of talked about it a little bit this past week. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I was like, I don't understand why he's been a full participant for 2 weeks straight, kind of like Greg Dulcich. You know, he was a healthy scratch almost every week after like week 3 or 4. And we all talked about it. Like, yeah, he's probably going to get cut. He's not part of the, future plans of this roster. And whenever I saw Josh Reynolds on the injury report full for the last 2 weeks, I was like, they're proud. Like, why not just cut him? Why
Eddie,
keep?
isn't his contract? Isn't he in a contract for like 2 or 3 years?
I think the contract was for like 3 years, but I think like the first year might have been guaranteed, or might have been a 2 year deal with just the first year
Something.
guaranteed and the second year optional or something. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but it was just like I was like, yeah, you might as well just cut him. Like if he's full and he's healthy, like why aren't you playing him? Unless that horrible incident, that happened to him whenever he was hurt, unless it had more devastating, repercussions than what we thought. Like it might have been worse than what we thought it was initially. But it sucks. He was good while the few games he did play for us this year, but it's part of the business. You got a bunch of young guys that are playing better and playing good, and they're cheap. So
I wish
I
him
guess,
luck wherever he goes, man. I mean, hopefully things work out for him and his family.
yeah, I hope so too. I think he'll find a good place to go to. Um, there's always going to be a team out there that needs a wide receiver. I just hope he doesn't go to the Chargers or Chiefs or something like that. That would suck. Have to face it. Well, if he does, it's probably going to be for the rest of the year, and we only got to pay the Chiefs one more time. When the Chargers, we got to play one more time too. So, but we got a comment coming in here. I want to pop this up here. First time catching the show, Josh being cut makes sense since Sean wants to go younger. Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about, David. Thank you for your comment, by the way. Really
So,
appreciate it. Yeah, we were kind of talking about that. Like, he's been a full participant for 2 weeks straight, and they still don't play him. He was, pretty much basically inactive. I was like, why not just cut him at that point? Makes no sense to waste the roster spot if you're not going to play him. Just like with Greg Dulcich, like they kept him on the roster for 2 months, a healthy scratch. Like, why are you keeping him? If you know you're going to get rid of him, just like they got rid of him a few weeks ago. It's like, why wait 2 months? Get rid of him and you can open up a roster spot.
but you know
Like,
what, Eddie? That tells you that Sean Payton runs a tight ship. Nothing gets out. I mean, we probably would not know until the off season, as far as like why all these things are happening, why they cut
true.
him. You
But
know,
I'm just saying, like, when you got a guy that's a healthy scratch for multiple weeks, like, it's pretty obvious that they're moving on from that player. Whether if it's, they're going to cut him tomorrow
yeah,
or if they're going to cut him in the offseason. Like, it's obvious to everyone.
yeah.
So, but let's get into the next thing, which is the game recap from last night's game. Muhammad, what was your gut reaction to the game last night?
All right. Well, I don't know what should I say, Eddie. Like so many things that went through my head. It was just nerve wracking. The way the game started, and the interceptions, and then the touchdowns, and I mean, there's a lot of positive and negatives that would take from the game, but I think this team is resilient, Eddie. I would just that resilience is the word that I'm looking for. um what negative things I would say? What's his name? um
Levi Wallace.
Yeah, Wallace. Sorry, Levi Wallace. Just a disaster. He was a liability. I really don't want to see him there. I don't want to blame him for all the yardage that the Browns got, but he's responsible for a lot of this stuff that happened, Eddie. I mean, I know we're talking about it. Mathis, please, Abraham Drains. Come on, let's see what they got. Why is he in the game? I wish to God I don't have to see him anymore. I mean, I don't know. Rodney Moss, I don't know if he's gonna come back, or I don't know how severe his injury is, but we do need him. He was missed big time. Um, some of the positive things that I liked, Mims. That was a crazy touchdown catch, and the throw by Bo Nix. Oh my God, that was just incredible. 105 yards, one touchdown. Sutton too, over 100 yards. Um, I know Williams scored a touchdown, Javante. I really don't want to see him again, Eddie. Like, why is he there? You know, McLaughlin is scoring. Like, he's playing really well. Let's see Estime, please. Sean Payton, please. More Estime, less Williams. I don't want to see him anymore. The defense, the only concern I had, I mean, besides the whole thing with Levi Wallace, the pass rush wasn't really there. They kept trying, but I don't know. It just felt like he was comfortable. He was getting protection. The pick by Bonito, I don't know where that came from, Eddie. That was really incredible. I mean, Nick Bonito, hands down, he's an elite pass rusher. Mile high salute to him, man. That was a great interception, pick six. But I think Eddie, most of the time, most of during this game, I didn't think we were gonna win, Eddie. It was just back and forth, and the way they were playing, I'm like, we're gonna end up losing this game. Sort of like the same feeling I had with the Raiders, but even worse. I'm glad we won. Like I said, they're resilient. They came back, won the game. The defense played really well as far as the interceptions. Um, I'm happy we won, man. We're 8-5. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're 8-5. Let's go Broncos.
Yeah, a lot there that you got off your chest. But all right,
Yes,
my turn. Let's get into this. So
it feels good to let it out.
Levi Wallace, I was screaming at my TV last night. Bench him and cut him now. He was so garbage, and I usually don't like using that word. Like, I understand players have bad games, whatever, but he was just getting burnt all night. The majority of Jody's yards he got last night were from Levi Wallace.
Yes.
And honestly, he could have had more. Jameis Winston overthrown on that first deep pass. That was Levi Wallace in coverage on that first one where Winston overthrew Judy.
Mm-hmm.
And if he catches that, if he hits him in stride, dude, that's probably a house call. And that probably put Judy up above 300 yards on the game. And he needs to be cut. Like, people were talking after they heard about the Josh Reynolds being cut. They're like, wow, what the heck? Why isn't that Levi Wallace being cut? And, I don't really know what to say to that. Like, I agree with it. Like, he was like, it wasn't just him though on the defense last night. I was also, you've heard me, all you guys have heard me yell about this before. I was pulling, well, what hair I do have out of my head because Vance Joseph was playing so much freaking zone last night. Now, people were saying, oh, the reason why he was doing that was because Riley Moss was out. And I don't know if you remember, but after halftime, pretty much Brandon Jones went out after the game or after halftime. He was out for almost the entire second half. So that's the reason why they were playing so much zone. I'm like, once again, why are you running zone? That doesn't make any sense to me because in zone, if your best defenders are not very good in zone, which they're not, Like if you go back and watch that game, you watch the highlights, the biggest plays that we saw, like where the receivers were so wide open, there was literally nobody within like 10 yards of them, was all zone coverage. Yes, players got beat last night in man, but whenever they got beat in man, it wasn't by much. Like it might have been like a step or two, but in zone coverage, there was literally nobody within like 10 yards, I would say, of the receiver. Like they were getting torched in zone coverage. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, why are you doing this? Why? Stop. Like, I understand not having Riley Moss. That was big. Like I said on Saturday, I'm like, I think Levi Wallace will be fine. We can get by with the Browns, because Cedric Tillman was out for the Browns. So I'm like, they don't have their number 2 receiver. But you had other guys, backup guys. You had Thrash. I think you had Moore, or I can't remember his name. And there was another guy, Woods, I think it was just going, they were just torching Levi Wallace. So I will say I was 0 for 2 in that. Whenever Zach Allen didn't play against the Raiders, like we should be fine. The Raiders don't have a very good offensive line. Zach Allen was sorely missed in that game. Yes. This game, I was like, we don't need Riley Moss. I think Levi Wallace can hold his own against, Brown's offense that's not really all that great. I was mistaken.
We were both wrong, Eddie. I didn't think that would matter neither.
Well, this team, to me, it shows like once our starters go down, I'm not saying that all the backups are bad, but like, because we don't know what Abrams' drain is. Like Damari Mathis, we kind of know, but it's like if a starter goes down, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it doesn't really look too good. Like we need all of our starters, and now the Broncos have, I think, 12 days off now, or 13 days off now. That should give Riley Moss plenty of time to heal up and be ready. Hopefully, for the same with Brandon Jones. Like I said, Brandon Jones went out in the second half yesterday. Hopefully, both of those guys were healed because we're going to need them for this final 4-game stretch. But Bo Nix, yeah, I understand he had 2 picks. The first one really wasn't on him. He tried, he put it into Troy Franklin. The defender just made a nice play on it, and it popped 10 feet in the air. Guy picked it off. The second one, I'm not really blaming on Bo Nix either. I mean, they're up. The running game really wasn't working, as to your point with Javonte. It really wasn't working. So Sean's just like, I need to take some shots and, just keep putting points on the board. And they took a shot and it didn't really work. It got picked off. But credit to the D. They did hold their own. And honestly, the D gave up 497 yards to Jameis Winston last night. But at the same time, I can't really blame them because if it wasn't for the 2 pick sixes they had, the Broncos probably lose this game.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, yeah, a defense, an offense, whichever, a player, special teams or whatever, sometimes there's going to be a bad game. The defense had a bad game last night, and I think that was because of the lack of, in the second half, we were missing Brandon Jones and we were missing Riley Moss all game. And that's the other thing. I was pulling my hair. I'm like, Vance, you're already playing zone too much. Stop doing that. And 2, I'm like, put Abrams' drain in. I mean, even if he gets burnt, like just put somebody else in because obviously Levi Wallace is not
exactly
at all. And it was just so frustrating. But like I said, Bo Nix had 2 picks. He had 1 touchdown, that beautiful. Oh my God, dude. That was like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes-esque type play. Like he fit that thing in between the 2 safeties with the middle linebacker underneath and boom, just hit Troy Franklin right in the hands. House call, 93 yards. That was a beautiful pass.
I know, but I lost my mind.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. My jaw dropped. I was like,
yeah,
because we haven't seen something like that in almost 10 years.
I know.
I think the last time we saw a big play like that was probably like 2014.
He's the real deal.
And it was wild, man. Bo Nix, I can't remember how much. I think he went off for like 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Of course. But it was fun to watch. Like I said, he just keeps improving. Bo Nix he had an okay game. It wasn't the greatest. He still had 2 interceptions. I mean, I know both of them, like I said, I don't put on him, but they'll still go down the stat sheet as, picks for Bo Nix. But he whenever he needed to make plays, he made them. Whenever he needed to pick up a big 3rd down or whatever, he did it.
But Eddie, Sean Payton trusts him too. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter like the interceptions and stuff. He trusts
that
him.
was one of the big things I saw today. I've been home all day today because today's my day off work, watching all these, shows. Well, not big national media things, but some of them were. But they're like, yeah, the fact that Sean Payton on that part of the field, like they were in their own end zone. The fact that Sean Payton had so much faith and trust in Bo Nix to drop back into the end zone and fire a bullet down the field shows how much he trusts this kid, how mature Sean Payton thinks he is, and all this stuff. And I can't argue with that. And with that said, like McLaughlin was playing well. I agree to your point. They need to get rid of Williams. Like he had, I think, like 6 rushing attempts for like 1 yard. Granted, he had a touchdown, but it was like a 1 yard score. So, and he literally didn't get touched. He walked into the end zone.
Exactly. I mean, I could have took it to the house.
Exactly my point. So, um, but yeah, like Williams can go. I want to see more Estime. I really do. I want to see more Estime. I'm trying to think of what else. There was another thing I saw today too, watching some of these media things. People talking about Bo Nix is cerebral. Like he might not be the most athletic. He might not be the most gifted quarterback out of his class, like a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels. But there was something that somebody said today that really made me think. And I'm not calling him this guy. I'm not calling him this player by any stretch. But his cerebralness up here, what he has between the ears, makes me think of a young Peyton Manning. Or maybe not a young Peyton Manning, but a Peyton Manning in his prime, to where he can dice up a freaking defense. Like it's still his rookie year, but he's showing glimpses of that. And as he progresses and gets more experience, I feel like that's only going to get better. Like
Yes.
he might not have his arm strength's not an issue. I'm not saying it is, but he might not have the biggest arm where he could throw 70 yards downfield like a Patrick Mahomes or Anthony Richardson. But if you got the smarts up here to where you're diabolical with the ball and dicing up a defense, that to me is more dangerous than anything else.
And Eddie, Sean Payton is the one who saw that. The other coaches didn't. He's the one who saw this on Bo Nix. That's why he picked him. If they
Yep.
did, we would have been in trouble because everybody would be trying to get him. But hey,
Well, I also think it would have took the right kind of coach too to get this. I'm not saying Bo Nix wouldn't have been good, but if he would have went to like the Bears with Matt Eberflus, I don't think Bo Nix would be flourishing like he is, because situations matter, coaches matter. Like
absolutely.
a young quarterback has got to go to the right situation and the right coach, and Bo Nix did. And now I think this is going to be a decision that most teams are going to regret. Letting Sean Payton get Bo Nix in a few years, honestly.
Yes.
Um, Going to the other side, Jaquan McMillan, boy's a baller. You talked about Nick Benito, but Jaquan McMillan, like I'll get to Benito in a minute, but Jaquan McMillan, man, just sealing the game. I watched that play over and over. You just see him read Jameis Winston's eyes the entire freaking play. Go over there and make a nice play. And it's so funny because it looked like the Browns just gave up. He's literally laying on the ground for 5 seconds, just laying there with the ball in his hand. Nobody comes over to touch him. He's just like, oh, I guess I'll just get up and run. Takes off. I was like, dang, the Browns just gave up on that play, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of the game, Cody Barton had an interception. Browns were driving, just to get a garbage time touchdown to make it at least closer. Barton, Jameis Winston throws it right to him. And then, the Nick Benito one, dude, whenever I saw that, I was like, because I went back and looked at the replay. Bo Nix. Nick Benito was in coverage. He wasn't even lined up on the line. He was back on the field in coverage. And then, if you look at the replay, he covered the guy he was on. It was man coverage. He was on that guy. He follows him, and then there's a running back and another tight end. Nick Benito's boop, boop, right up to the front to get to the tight end and pick the ball off and house it for 6. I was like, okay, yeah. He
He's
needs to win.
fast too, Eddie. He was
He needs
running.
to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
He's got 11 sacks. He's got an INT for a 71-yard touchdown call. This kid is balling. I think we found our elite pass rusher. I take back what I said earlier in the year. We don't need to get another pass rusher. We got him.
It's good.
And Nick Benito. But with all that said, this game was honestly, if we had all of our starters, I don't think this game's that close. I don't think it's 32-41. I think I didn't expect 40. Well, did I? I think I said
I
41
think you
points.
were accurate
So I
when
got
you.
that right.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize how many points the Browns were going to score because how bad our defense was going to be in coverage. Um, but yeah, yesterday showed me that Riley Moss was sorely, sorely missed. And the last thing I want to kind of touch on here is I kind of already touched on it a little bit, but Javante, he's got to go, man. Like I can't anymore with him. Like he doesn't do anything. Like he was out there the majority of the game, and like I said, like I think it was like 6 attempts for freaking what 1 yard, and that 1 yard came on the touchdown. Which okay, he got you a touchdown, but people are saying, oh, you need to keep him because he's a great pass blocker. Whenever you got blitz coming in, I'm
I mean,
like,
Estimate could have scored that touchdown, Eddie. Like, why is Williams being rewarded? Come on.
well, like I said, they're keeping him because of that because he's a great pass blocker. Like whenever they keep him in the pass block, whenever the Broncos drop, I'm like, dude, I don't care. Put an extra tight end in there then.
I mean, yeah, that's what
I
I'm
mean, you're
saying.
putting Marvin Mims in the backfield sometimes. Put Nate Atkins or something in there. That'd be just as good. He's just as big. He's bigger probably. I mean, once again, like I don't know what Sean Payton's doing. Like I said, with the Greg Dulcich thing for keeping him too long, Josh Reynolds cutting him after he's been a healthy scratch. It's like, why are you hanging on to some of these guys longer than you need to?
Hey, as
Like
long as we're winning, right?
it's just baffling to me. But I want to get to some of these comments, man, because we got a bunch of people in here tonight, and we
Oh
got a
wow.
bunch of comments that came in, dude. Like a lot. Um, let's see. Got another one here from David. He's like, keeping the tight end for 2 months was foolish. Yeah, I agree. It was ridiculous. Like, I don't understand why you kept Dulcich if you weren't going to use him, even if you were just going to bring him in for like a blocking situation. Granted, blocking wasn't his best, or even just a decoy. That him out there as a decoy. Like, you wasted a roster spot for 2 months. Like, why? What's your thoughts, Mohammed?
I mean, yeah, like I think Sean Payton was just not sure what he wanted to do. I think that's what it is. Like, because if he did, he would have cut it right away. What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, Michael? Michael in here says, hi, Ed Mohammed. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it, man. Dude, we got a lot of comments in here. It's crazy. David in here again. It was nice to see the offense help out the defense. Yeah. After 10 years of finally searching for the quarterback and then, having an inept offense for every single season, it was nice to have an offense that would actually complement the defense.
Exactly.
I mean, the offense ain't going to score. I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Not every offense is going to score on every possession that they're on. But if you can maintain, chew some clock, at least the majority of your drives, get some points out of it and keep the game, within range. That's all we, as Bronco fans, really wanted.
Yeah, you gotta have that balance. Absolutely.
Another one from Michael here. Why is cornerback Levi Wallace still on the Broncos defense? They waived wide receiver Josh Reynolds and not I don't know, Mike. I really don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I think maybe because they have a lot less of lack of depth at the cornerback position.
Yeah.
Maybe at this point, the reason why they're not cutting Levi Wallace is, before yesterday's game, I was okay with Levi Wallace. I mean, he wasn't getting beat too bad, but yesterday I was like, oh, he's done. I want him off the roster. But now they got the bye week. Hopefully Riley Moss gets healed up because if you cut Levi Wallace, I think you have Sertan, Wallace, McMillan, Abrams, Drain, and Damari Mathis, and you got Smith. You got 6 corners right there. Like,
Exactly.
I would just cut him, honestly, and get done with it and just be done with it. Like, he's a bum.
I'm just afraid that they'll play him again, Eddie. I don't know.
They did put Drain in towards the end of the game yesterday, but it's like, dude, we needed him in the game earlier. Like, why wait until like the very end of the game whenever this was pretty much a shootout the entire night?
Exactly.
Why not put Abrams Drain in early? I mean, there was one play I saw Damari Mathis in there. I was fine with that. Like, yeah, he was getting torched last year, but at least he's younger and maybe sitting out a year, maybe helped him a little bit. Maybe he learned a little something. And Damari Mathis is fast. He's young. Levi Wallace is over 30, and he's not very good. I'm sorry. He's just not. So, I don't know, Michael. Hopefully they get rid of him. I hope he's not back on this roster come next year, honestly. Got another one here from David. Do you guys feel like we missed Moss more last night than we did? Uh, Honestly, I think it's about even. I
Yeah,
think it's even. I
it's
really
good
do
question,
because
though.
I
Good question,
like
David.
we went over it last week, Mohammed. I was like, oh, we don't need Zach Allen. The Raiders' offensive line's trash, and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
I was sorely mistaken. Like
Mhm.
Zach Allen was sorely missed on that defensive line. Like, I mean, without Zach Allen there, they were able to tee off on Nick Benito and double team him. Like, if Zach Allen's in there, like it's like okay, they gotta respect Zach Allen and Nick Benito. But when you only
Mhm.
got one guy that can really get after there and cause problems on the offensive line, it's gonna be a long day. And Riley Moss yesterday, yeah, he was sorely missed too because that secondary got chewed up by Jameis freaking Winston.
It's hard to watch, Eddie.
Ugh. And to me, that, and like I said, it wasn't just Riley Moss yesterday either. Yeah, he was out the entire game, but Brandon Jones went out right after the start of the second half, or starting safety. And then you had Devon Key in there, which, once again, why is he in there? He's not good either. I'd rather see, what's his name? The other safety we got. Uh, I can't remember his name. I'm having a brain fart here. But we do have another safety that, oh, Skinner.
Skinner,
Like, I would
okay.
rather see Skinner out there than Devon Key at this point. Devon Key is like the Levi Wallace of the safety room. He's not good. He gets beat almost every play. But again, that could also be attributed to Vance Joseph playing way too much freaking zone. Stop playing zone coverage so much. You're getting torched in it. So, but thanks, David, for your comment. We got another one here from Michael. We need to blame Vance Joseph for putting cornerback Levi Wallace on wide receiver Jerry Judy and not have PS or and not have PS2. Wait, I'm assuming he means have PS2 on wide receiver Jerry Judy. The whole NFL. Yeah, I agree. That was the one, like whenever Sertan fouled Judy, I think he only had like a couple of catches for like 20 yards.
Yeah,
That was it. Like your best corner needs to go on their best wide receiver.
just common sense. I don't know why.
And I think a lot of that, like I said, going back, like Sertan didn't follow him sometimes last night because Vance Joseph was playing zone coverage. Like they would have Judy on the left with Sertan, and then they would, move Judy over to the right side where Levi Wallace was, and they were playing zone. Like usually, if they're playing man coverage, and a receiver comes out on and we've seen Sertan play in the slot before. We've seen him on tight ends. We've seen him on receivers in the slot. So if they're in man coverage, Sertan's going to follow whoever's receiver is. The two DBs, like if Wallace is over here, Sertan's over here, and Judy shifts over here, Wallace will go over here and cover whoever, stay over here and cover, the guy next to him, and Sertan would follow, Judy. But they were playing so much zone coverage last night, it was just ridiculous. That was why. What were your thoughts, Mohammed?
Yeah, same thing. I don't know. Like, it was working when we had PS2 on him the whole time, but then when we went away from that, and I think you're right, Eddie. The whole game. Playing zone just costs us a lot, and I don't know why he keeps doing it. I understand having that balance, but if it's not working, let's just stick with man. And I promise you, Vance Joseph, Broncos country is not going to complain. Just play man.
Well, I want to touch on this before we move on to the next comment here, Mohammed. But this was my saying. I said this a couple of weeks ago about the run pass, balance. A lot of people are like, well, you want to have that balance on offense with run and pass because it helps out the rookie quarterback and keeps the defense guessing.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand that. Like if you're having a tough game passing and throwing the ball, I'm cool with that. Have that balance. Keep them guessing, like, oh, this might be a run or this could be a pass. But if one's working well and working better than the other, like last night, the passing game for us was working a lot better than the run game. The run game wasn't doing jack
No.
outside of those good runs that McLaughlin had. But the passing game was what was working for us. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stay balanced if the passing game is dominating and the run game's barely getting them maybe 2 yards a carry, and vice versa. If the passing game ain't working, you're only averaging maybe like 3-4 yards a pass, but you're averaging like 6-7 yards a carry. I'm going to run the ball a lot more.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with defense. If zone coverage, I'm getting torched every play. And I challenge you guys to go back and look at zone coverage that we've played this season. There's always someone wide open. We're always getting torched in zone coverage. But If man coverage is working better than zone, stay a man. Yeah, you're probably going to get beat on the run, pass, zone, man. You're going to get beat sometimes. It's just the way it is. The other guys are NFL, pros too. They get paid to do a job too. Sometimes you're going to get beat, and that's fine. But I'd rather get beat doing what we do well, which is man coverage, rather than play zone and get freaking just demolished. That makes me want to go freaking crazy. So, but moving on to the next comment here, we got Joe coming in saying the Broncos waived Josh Reynolds. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, Joe. Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, and we were talking about that. Like why would you healthy scratch him for 2 weeks and then just keep him out? I mean, unless they were just trying to see, you know, maybe these last 2 weeks they saw enough from Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele to be like, hey, okay, we don't need him anymore. But my rebound question to that is like, why do they still have a little Jordan Humphrey on this team, and why the heck is he still getting snaps?
Sean Payton loves him, Eddie, for whatever reason. That's his
They
guy.
say it's because he's one of the best pass blocking receivers in the league, but I'm just like, or one of the best receiving blocking or blocking receivers in the NFL. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, can he catch a ball? He's a receiver. That's his job. Can he run routes? Can he catch a ball? Can he hang on to the damn ball? The answer
Sometimes.
is no. So I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of changes coming this offseason. I think, Josh Reynolds is already gone. I think Williams is going to be gone. Honestly, Wallace is going to be gone. Even a lot of the, not even starters, just even backup guys. Like Devon Key will probably be gone. Like there's probably a lot of these backup guys that we have on the roster are not going to be here next year. And the big one I think that's probably not going to be, well, not really big, but big for Sean Payton is I think, Lil Jordan Humphrey will be gone after this year.
I hope
Like,
so.
I think, Sean Payton's got so many young weapons on this roster, man. It's like, why would you waste a roster spot on that?
But Eddie, I just wanted to add that when it comes to estimate, if we're not keeping Javonte Williams, why aren't we playing estimate to see what we got on him? Like, I mean, why are we still playing Javonte Williams? Like, are they going to keep him next season? I hope not. But if you're not keeping him, then why aren't we seeing estimate? Because McLaughlin is playing really well. It just doesn't
It's
make sense to me.
it's a mystery. Like, I think the reason why they're keeping him now possibly is because they only have Williams, Estime, and McLaughlin. Like, I'm not making a point that, oh, why aren't they playing Estime more? I think they should play him more. I think the reason why they're keeping Javonte on the roster is because they really don't have any other tight end or running backs. Like, we know Beatty got hurt last time we saw him. I don't know if he's recovered. We haven't heard nothing about him. And I think that's the only other one. I think there's one other one, another running back that we have. But I can't remember who it is, but I don't know. Honestly. It's that has to be it. But Williams is going to be gone after this year, I believe. But I agree. Like, why aren't they giving Estimate more touches to see what he can do?
Yeah.
Like,
All I'm saying.
I mean, even in the tight end room, like healthy scratch Dulcich for like 2 months. But I mean, you don't really have a young. I mean, you can say Lucas Kroll, but I really don't think he's a starting tight end. But they didn't really have a young guy waiting in the wings at tight end. I mean, receiver, yeah, they do. They had Marvin Mims, they had Troy Franklin, they had Devon Vele, So I understood that, but the running back and tight end room, I don't get. I really don't. I don't know what Sean Payton's thinking, honestly. But going to the next comment here, Joe again here. He's like, waste of a roster spot over Timmy P. I miss Timmy P. I really do. Like, he was great, but like I've said this before, Joe, and I'll say it again. Another reason why I think they cut Josh Reynolds, Devon Vele is that guy for them. He is Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds-esque. He is Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick 2.0. He's younger and he's cheaper. And they got rid of Timmy P because of his injury concerns. Like 2 seasons back to back, he has season-ending injuries. Yes, and I know he's lighting it up in Detroit. Like, he's having a great season in Detroit. But I think Sean Payton wanted to go younger and cheaper, honestly, and less injury prone. And I can't complain. Like I miss Timmy P. He was one of the best receivers that we had for a few years there. And to me, he will always be a Bronco. But Devon Vele, Like that's the reason why they moved on from Tim Patrick. Peyton saw something in him, and he was right. He's a great receiver. Like anytime, like to me, people always talk about Sutton being Bo Nix's security blanket. I don't think that's true. I think it's Devon Vele. Like maybe not so much yesterday. I mean, he had that one really nice catch there at the goal line, but over like the couple of weeks before this week, it was like Devon Vele was always there making a catch. So I'm just happy we finally found another young cheap guy. I mean, yeah, he's a little older. He's 26, but you could probably keep him around for like the next 5 years, and you ain't gonna have to pay him much.
Not much. Sure.
And he's the security blanket. So
Building that chemistry with Bonex.
and Timmy P, I'm pretty sure, like he was making like 10 million. When we cut him, I think we saved like 6 or 7 million. So it was a business decision on that part, with the injuries and the money, especially with the Russell Wilson contract we're eating this year. It was just a business decision. But thanks for your comment there, Joe. We got another one here from David. We got a lot of comments in here, man. I don't think Josh was replacing Tim. I think Vele took Tim. Yeah, we just talked about it. I think they brought Josh Reynolds in because they brought him in before they drafted Devon Vele. Like they picked him up in free agency and then they drafted Devon Vele. And then I think I went to training camp a lot this year. I mean, Vele was actually having a solid training camp for a rookie.
I did hear about that too, yeah.
So I think what it was is, they brought Josh Reynolds in like, hey, we paid him, we brought him in, might as well use him and just see what we can do. Anyway, with that said, I think what happened is that Vele showed what he could do, and then whenever Reynolds went down, that made him replaceable with Vele being what Sean Payton was like, yeah, I know what this kid can be. He's good. Like he's Josh Reynolds-esque. So I'll just, but after Josh Reynolds went down in week 5, he's been out for what, 2 months or a month or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. So that's why I think they did that. What are your thoughts, Mohammed?
Yeah, same thing. I don't think it was that's what their intention was. It sort of things. I mean, things sort of happen to happen that way. But hey, Vele is pretty good. I'm glad he's building that chemistry with Bonix. And as far as Tim Patrick, I'm happy for him, man. I mean, things kind of working out for him in Detroit, and they're going to the playoffs. Hey, maybe they go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. It kind of worked for both parties. So.
Yeah, no, that's 100% accurate. But Michael came back in. Sean Payton blamed himself for the call of the Bo Nix second interception. He's talking about the one where Bo Nix just chucked it down the field. It's like a punt kind of thing, and I think it was Ward just picked it off. I did kind of get a little upset about that. I'm like, that was right around the time McLaughlin was he had the hot hand. He was just picking up yards after yard after yards. I was like, why not run it to the right or to the left or something? Why not run it there? Get a little bit of motion and then take a shot. But I mean, I'm not going to be too upset about it. But what were your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's not like Bo Nix is throwing interceptions every game and stuff. I mean, it happens. It happens. So.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. But we got another one here from David. That was Mims for 93. Yeah. Like we finally got to see the Mims that we saw in the Washington game last year where he popped off and Russ hit him for a deep, like I think it was like a 60 or 70-yard bomb for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. That was just, and no disrespect to Marvin Mims because he made a good catch, he housed it, whatever. But that pass from Bo Nix, that was nothing but money. Like you couldn't have placed that ball any freaking better. Like he led Marvin Mims to where Marvin Mims was able to catch it in stride and keep going. Like he didn't have to turn around and get it or nothing. And he fit it in between two not far downfield. What was that? Like 40 yards downfield, 50 yards downfield. He fit that ball into a tight window. That's like a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of throw.
Not
fit
a rookie.
Into a window about this big.
Yeah. He's doing incredible things, Eddie. It's incredible.
Oh man, I'm just happy we got a quarterback of the future, man. I can tell you that much.
Time.
David coming back in here. Pookie is playing his last 4 games at the Broncos. Yeah, I believe so too. And Mohammed, I'm pretty sure you believe the same thing. Like he's up for a contract extension after this year, and I highly doubt the Broncos give it to him. They got some guys they got to pay. I'm pretty sure like Zach Wilson and both Jared Simmons, Zach Wilson are free agents. I think they're going to bring one of those guys back, to be a backup to Bo Nix. I would prefer Zach Wilson, honestly, to come back and be the backup to Bo Nix. I'm trying to think. Bonito, they got to start thinking about paying him here in like the next year or so. So hopefully they get his contract done. And we've talked about Garrett Bowles. Like, I want them to re-sign Garrett Bowles. That way, because I know Garrett Bowles, with him being from Denver, him loving it here, his family's here and everything, they need to re-sign him so they can to a cheap deal, like a 2-year cheap deal, to where they can go out and spend money on other parts of the offense, like a receiver, a tight end, a running back. That's what I want. What about you, Mohammed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's just I don't see a way for him to stay with the Broncos. Like I said, Estime is my guy. Play him, spend that money somewhere else, definitely.
Here we go. Joe posted, thank you for this, Joe. Like, I would have looked it up myself, but I didn't really have time to. But he's like, paid Reynolds $4.3 million for 12 catches and to get shot in the strip club while he was on our shake. Yeah. I think with the emergence of Vele and the fact that maybe there's more to the story with Josh Reynolds than were led to believe initially, with him getting shot at that strip club. Like, I don't know. Maybe he was more injured than we think he was. So,
But Eddie, like it might, the Broncos. I know they're probably looking at decision making. Being a captain, be responsible when you leave the facility. This type of thing. I don't know what happened exactly, but I'm just saying that it could be something to that effect.
yeah, no, I agree. But it's a sad story. I really did like Josh Reynolds. Last comment here. Joe again. He's like, Winston is the most entertaining QB in the NFL. He keeps the game close for both teams. Yeah, he does. That was wild to me, man. That was. I remember watching videos all day today, and there's like, yeah, Jameis Winston had 6 touchdowns, 2 of which were to the other team. I was like, yeah, I was watching Colin Coward earlier, and they were basically like, um, they were basically saying he was basically saying like, Bo Nix didn't have the plays. He had a couple of good plays, a couple of wild plays, just like Winston did, a couple of those wild plays. But then, Winston also had like 6 or 7, like those kind of like what are you doing kind of plays. Bo Nix didn't have any of those. I mean, if you want to count that interception, that second one, but I think that was just more of, trying to, shut the door on the Browns and just take a shot. It wasn't like, why are you throwing it there, Nix? Um, so yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Like Jameis Winston, he'll make some nice plays, but there's a reason why he threw 30 interceptions and why he can't stay on a team more than like a year. So, what are your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Yeah, he's a joke to me, man. I'm sorry. Like, even when he's like on press conferences and stuff, just so weird. Like whatever he be saying and stuff. Plus, not taking care of the football. It's sad, Eddie, because he's got the talent, he's got the arm strength, but just he's a backup. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. But hey, I'm happy he gave us a few of his balls. That's fine. I take those.
Yeah, 2 pick sixes, like I said, those won the game for us practically. Um, but now that we got through all the comments, Mohammed, I wanted to touch on a few more things before we get out of here tonight. The first thing is we kind of went over the stats a little bit, but the next thing I wanted to go over was, what do you want the Broncos to do during the bye week? Like, we got the Colts after the bye week. Like, what do you think the Broncos should prepare for the Colts come week 15?
Eddie, yes, the main thing is to get healthy. Hopefully Riley Moss can come back healthy. The safety, Brandon should come back. Just that type of deal. I'm pretty sure Sean Payton is gonna evaluate the players and figure out who works, who doesn't. Hopefully, Estime is put into that rotation a little bit more. I like what McLaughlin is doing, but I want to see a lot of. I want to see more Estime. I love the fact that uh, Sean Payton is using Mims now. He's becoming a threat, and I'm pretty sure the other teams are watching because he's got that speed, Eddie. The more we use him, the better it is for the Broncos. As far as the Colts, the defense, please no more zone. I don't get it, Eddie. Like, because if we're seeing it, like, why is Vance Joseph not seeing it? This is not working, Vance. Let's play man. If man is not working, let's switch the zone. Just that's how it is. Like, whatever is
Yeah.
working, keep it working. Hopefully Zach Allen. I saw that he left the game and then came back. Hopefully he's okay. Just overall, just heal up, rest, get some rest, and come back all fresh. Because I think we're going to the playoffs, Eddie. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see, I want to see the guys heal up. Moss, Jones, I want the entire team. Honestly, they finally get a break. I mean, 14 weeks into the season or 13 weeks into the season, this team needs a break. They've been playing hard. They've been playing, really good football. So they deserve a break. Hope Sean Payton, kind of lets them take it easy a little bit. Um, but yeah, heal up, and prepare for the Colts. What I think they need to do is they need to focus on Anthony Richardson. Like, I'm not too worried about Jonathan Taylor because I'm pretty sure the front four will, get to him. They'll shut him down. They shut down Nick Chubb. The Raiders, they like to run the ball. They shut them down. I just focus on the passing game and stopping Anthony Richardson. And for God's sake, contain him because he likes to take off and run. So that's what I want them to focus on. Um, what else? What else? Yeah, and just pretty much get healthy, man. Just prepare for the rest of the season. And like you said, stop playing so much zone. Hopefully during this, bye week, Peyton goes up to Vance and says, dude, stop playing so much zone. We're getting torched in that. We got out of the Browns game alive, but if you would have kept playing zone more and more like you did, we could have lost that game. We got lucky that Jameis Winston's garbage pretty much and threw 2 pick sixes. Otherwise, we probably don't win that game. So, but anyway, going on to the Colts, talking about them, we got them coming out of the bye. Now to me, I'm pretty sure the Chargers play the Chiefs this coming up weekend. I hate to say it, but I'm rooting for the Chiefs to knock the Chargers down. I want them to knock the Chargers down to 8-5 to where we're tied with him because that'd be nice. And then the Colts are on a bye week just like us. But if we come out of the bye week and we beat the Colts, and I think the Dolphins play the Jets this week. But even if they beat the Jets, the Dolphins are still going to be a game behind us. But if they lose to the Jets, they're 2 games behind us right now.
Games,
So
yeah.
if they lose to the Jets, like they're going to be 3 games behind the Broncos. If they beat the Jets, I think they'll be 1 game behind the Broncos. But I'm not worried about the Dolphins. Like, we need to beat the Colts, because right now they're the ones nipping at our heels currently. So if we come out of the bye, we need to beat them. If we beat them, I'm pretty sure our playoff chances go from like 76% right now to like 90s if we beat the Colts coming out of the bye. So we need to get that done. That's what I want them to focus on. Just get ready for the Colts after the bye and please beat them. And then I want the Chiefs to beat the Chargers because then after that, the Chiefs beat the Chargers this weekend and the Broncos come back after their bye and they beat the Colts. We're sitting at 9-5. The Chargers will be sitting at 8-5, and we'll be going into that Week 16 matchup against the Chargers, and that's going to be a big game.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, yeah, if we beat the if the Chiefs beat the Chargers this week, they go to 8-5. I don't know who the Chargers play next week. I have to look it up. But if they win or lose that game, if they lose that game, that puts the Broncos ahead, I believe, by a half a game.
Is it like a Thursday night football?
No, I'm saying like when we come back, week 15, because the Chargers play the Chiefs in week 14 this week, they're probably going to lose that game, I would assume. That'll put the Chargers at 8-5, the same record with the Broncos, but they're still going to be ahead of us because they have the one game they've beaten us so far this year. But then we come back week 15. I don't know who the Chargers play in week 15, but if they lose that game, they drop to 8-6. The Broncos beat the Colts. They go to 9-5, 9-5. So they'd be a game ahead.
Yeah.
But the Chargers win that game. They would be 9-5. The Broncos would win against the Colts. They'd be 9-5. And they'd be, like I said, Chargers would still be ahead because of the game over the. So that would make the Week 16 game against the Chargers for that, 6th or 7th seed, whichever seed they're at that point. That would bump us up to either the 6th or 5th seed.
It's good. But see, Eddie, like I would think, like when we play the Chargers, are we playing them on a Thursday night? I thought it was like a
we're playing them on a Thursday night. So if we can beat them, we can jump up a seed in the AFC standings. So hopefully we can do that. If the Chargers win though in Week 15 and the Broncos lose and they go to 8-6, Chargers go to 9-5. I doubt we're going to catch them. At that point, it's like we just need to do whatever we can to hold on to the 7th seed and get into the playoffs. Because after the Chargers game, then you got the Bengals in Cincinnati, which I think we can beat with that defense they have. And then I think we're going to beat the Chiefs Week 18. If, like I said, you lose one more game, you're 11-6. You lose no games, you're 12-5.
We control our destiny, Eddie.
Yeah, big time. So hopefully that's what happens. The Broncos need to make. If the Broncos make the playoffs, like I said, even if they get bounced in the first round, I'm not going to be happy that they got bounced in the first round. Of course, I want them to win. But if they make the playoffs, dude, I'm going to be super happy because it's like,
milestone.
We got a winning record this year. We found our franchise QB and we made the playoffs, all with the roster that we have. I can only imagine what we're going to do next year.
Exactly. That's a win to me.
So, but the last thing I want to touch on before we get out of here tonight, Mohammed, and this one, it kind of ticks me off, but it kind of makes me laugh just because it shows me there's one person in the media that I'm laughing at because he is petrified. I mean petrified. He might not show it much on TV, but just the way he talks about Bo Nix and the Broncos tells me he is petrified. Not just of the Broncos, but I think he's scared of the Chargers too, and that's Nick Wright. I was watching him earlier today, and after that performance from Bo Nix, actually over the performance he's had all season, especially his last 3 games, he's like, Bo Nix is, I'm sticking to my take that what I said before the year is that Bo Nix is going to trick everybody to think that he's good. I'm like, this guy could not be more scared of the Denver Broncos. Like, I've said this before, Muhammad, I will say it again. For 20 years, Tom Brady and the Patriots feasted on a subpar division. The Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills for 20 years could not find the right coach, could not find the right quarterback. And the Patriots feast on that. They were able to get the 1 seed and constantly get the bye and, have the 1 seed and make it to the playoffs or get to the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl so easy because their division was so bad. Now, coming from a Broncos fan, I love my Broncos, but they have not been good for 10 years. They haven't. They've been subpar. And that could all be traced back to we didn't have an owner. After Super Bowl 50 and, Pat Bowlen got sick and passed away, rest his soul. They didn't have an owner. They had no leadership in that organization. So this team was just literally throwing darts at the dartboard, just hoping something hits. And the Chiefs were able to feast on that. Once they got Patrick Mahomes, they were able to feast on a bad Broncos team, a poorly coached, Chargers team, and a Raiders team that was constantly in shambles. The Broncos they didn't have an owner, quarterback, or coach. The Raiders didn't have a head coach or a quarterback. I mean, you could say Derek Carr, but I don't think Derek Carr was all that great. But then the Chargers, they didn't have a coach. They had a quarterback, they didn't have a coach. So for the past 6-7 years, the Chiefs have feasted on a horrible division. That's not the case anymore. The Broncos with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, with the richest owners in the NFL. And then you got the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Nick Wright knows that they're not going to be able – this ain't going to be a cakewalk division no more. They're going to have to battle if they really want to win. And it scares them. And I think, personally, when Nick Wright talks bad about Bo, saying, oh, he's still bad, I ain't worried about him, blah, blah, blah. He's fooling everybody that he's good. He's saying these things not because he's trying to convince Richard on the show or Kevin Wildes that's on the show with him, or even sometimes Greg, the ex-Packers wide receiver. He's not trying to convince them guys. He's not even trying to convince anybody that's watching the show that Bo Nix is bad. He's just trying to convince himself because he realizes what the next, what the future is holding for him. What are your thoughts?
Forgive me for what I'm about to say, everybody. But I mean, just the guy. I'm sorry, Eddie. He's an idiot. I don't care for his haircut. But I mean, everybody knows that he's just being biased, and he likes the Chiefs, and always saying all these wonderful things about the Chiefs, even though when they're really not playing as well as they used to be. But he knows, Eddie. He's in denial. He knows. He knows exactly what's about to happen. And I'm telling you, Eddie, the next 2 years, 3 years, it's not going to be even the Chiefs. It's going to be the Chargers and the Broncos going head to head. I'm not even worried about the Chiefs. They're going in decline. I'm not worried about what he's saying. And the sad part, Eddie, is you're going in national media and saying this, and everybody is looking at you like you're crazy because they know that's not the truth. Look at the numbers. Somebody was making a comment, Eddie, saying that the yardage and the touchdowns that Bonix has, if he was any other quarterback, he would have had a different opinion about it. You know, so I'm not worried about what he's saying.
No, I said this earlier. I was talking to some people on Facebook, and I said this earlier. I'm like, if just hypothetically, let's just go back to the draft. Say the Broncos don't, say Bo Nix doesn't even go to 12. Like, say, he goes third. Say Bo Nix goes to the Bears, or he goes to the Commanders or the Patriots or the Falcons or the Vikings. Or any other team, even the Rams. I think the Rams were even interested in Bo Nix this offseason. But say he goes to any one of those other teams. Nick Wright's not having the same opinion. He would be sitting here watching these games with Bo Nix if he was playing for the Rams, playing like he is now for like the Rams or one of these other teams. He'd be like, dang, Bo Nix is good. He's actually the future of the Commanders or the Rams or whoever. It's the fact that he's on the Broncos. Yes, I understand he was a 12th pick taken, but it's because he's on the Broncos. Nick Wright would not be talking this much trash if he was on another team. It's because it's a divisional rival of the Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. That's the only reason why. And he's scared of them. He's scared of him, and he's scared of Justin Herbert and the Chargers and Bo Nix and the Broncos. Because he knows, like you said, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not.
Nope, not anymore.
When you can feast on a bad division for multiple years, yeah, you're probably going to make the playoffs a lot. Mm-hmm. And especially if you get the one, right there. Like, if your division's so terrible, so bad that that's 6 wins right there. Maybe at the bare minimum, 5 wins a year right there. And that helps. So he's terrified. And it's just funny to me that sitting there watching him try to convince everybody whenever, well, like I said, he's not really trying to convince anybody. He's trying to convince himself because nobody's listening to Nick Wright saying, yeah, you're right on that. What? Like, come on, dude. Like, it's okay. Like, I hate Patrick Mahomes with every bone in my body. I hate the Chiefs with every bone in my body. But Patrick Mahomes is good. Andy Reid's good.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but it's true. And they've been winning the division. And but going to your point, Mohammed, you said that you don't think the Chiefs are going to be very good for very much longer, especially after this year. Like, next year, it'll probably, for the next 2, 3, 4 years, it'll be the Chargers and Broncos.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get your opinion. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the Chiefs are going to be not really fighting for that number 1 spot in the AFC West? Why do you think that is?
I think even if you look at last year or this year, the defense is being carrying them. It's not the offense. I think Kelsey is probably going to retire. I think their coach is probably going to retire. Patrick Mahomes is going to decline. I mean,
that's where I was leading into, because I think Andy Reid's close to retirement, and I think Travis Kelce's close to retirement.
Exactly.
Like, if those two guys retire, that team is going to take a major step back. I'm not saying they're going to be bottom of the fucking, AFC by any stretch. I think they'll still be a solid team. Patrick Mahomes is still a good quarterback, but without Andy Reid there, without Travis Kelce, the security blanket for Patrick Mahomes, they're going to take a step back. And they're not going to be winning this division, especially now since the Broncos had their quarterback and coach and the Chargers had their quarterback and coach. Like, they're not going to be winning the division. Even if Andy Reid and Travis Kelce stay for another year, they're not going to win that division next year. I'll call it now.
Yeah.
So, but also the last thing I want to touch on before we get out here, still going over the media. Like, there was, like, there were some national media people talking about the Broncos, but it was like watching them, they would talk about the Broncos for like like not even 5 minutes. It was like maybe like 2 minutes. They would talk about the Broncos, and then they switch to the other side and be like, Jameis Winston, he had a Jameis Winston type game, 3 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, almost 500 yards, blah, blah. And they would just gush over Jameis Winston. It's like, you do realize he lost the game, right? He threw two horrible pick sixes, one of which ended the game pretty much. But they don't really talk. They'll talk more about that than they will talk about a rookie and Bo Nix that actually played well enough and a team that overcame, a defense giving up. I think they gave up like 600 yards, the defense in total, like total net yards. And they won't talk about Bo Nix and his 93-yard touchdown or all the nice passes he made to keep the Broncos in the game. It's just frustrating, man. Like,
Yes.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Someone told me this phrase about a year ago that no one cares. The national media does not care about Denver teams. If it's the Rockies, Avalanche, Nuggets, or the Broncos, we are a flyover city and no one gives a damn about us.
There's some truth to
We
that.
could win the Super Bowl and they still would not care. We could win the NBA championship. They still wouldn't care. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's the market that we're in. But Eddie, I think it's gonna take for us to go to the playoffs for them to start saying that okay, the Broncos are for real, and I think we will. Unless something crazy happens, but I think we're heading towards going to the playoffs, possibly winning a game too.
Well, I don't even think going to the playoffs. I mean, we'll probably get a little bit of, national media attention, but they're not going to be gushing over the Broncos, which is crazy to me if you consider all the circumstances for the Broncos. $85 million in dead cap. Taking the, sixth quarterback that's 24 years old, a rookie quarterback. I mean, his age really doesn't matter, but the sixth quarterback off the board in the draft that everybody had pegged as like a second round pick, rookie quarterback with not that much talent on this roster making the playoffs.
That's crazy.
Like, that in itself is not just because it's the Broncos. If it was any team in this situation, $85 million dead cap hit, taking the sixth best quarterback in the draft, he's a rookie, and you have no talent on the roster, and you make the playoff, especially if you're in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs, or like that would be like if the Dolphins would have done something like that when the Patriots were a dynasty. Like that's national media worthy. Like, if this team's doing this year with not that much cap space, with not that much talent, with a rookie quarterback, like, imagine what they're going to do next year whenever they have talent. They have most of that cap gone, and Bo Nix's second year in the same system with Sean freaking Payton.
Can't
What do you
wait.
think is going to happen?
Can't wait, Eddie. It's gonna happen, whether they like it or not.
It drives me nuts. Like, I mean, whatever. Keep with the disrespect, because you know what? When we freaking win the Super Bowl here in the next 3, 4, 5 years,
We will.
I mean, we're still not going to get the recognition we deserve, but that's just going to be the ultimate last laugh for us. Is that we get we finally got our franchise, we have our franchise QB, we have our head coach, and we win a damn Super Bowl. So, but you got before we get out of here tonight, you got any final thoughts you want to get to tonight before we get out of here?
Just wanted to say that the Broncos are for real, man. We got our quarterback of the future. We got our coach. We got our owners. We're in good hands. I mean, we're good. We're good to go. That's all I have to say.
Oh, I do have one more thing I want to say. I kind of hope we get the 6th seed. I think it is. Yeah. I hope we move up a seed. I want to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh and dominate freaking Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh and eliminate them from the playoffs. Like, a lot of people are saying, oh, we want the Bills to win and the Chiefs to fall to the 2 seed and we stay at the 7th seed and we play the Chiefs and eliminate them. I would like that too, but I feel like regardless of what happens in the wild card round, if we do make it through the wild card round, I think we will face the Chiefs in the divisional. But I want to face it. I want to be the ones to beat Russell Wilson and the Steelers and take them out. Same as I would love to beat the Chiefs and take them out of the playoffs. If we could meet one of them in the divisional and one in the wild card, and we can eliminate both those teams, and then we get knocked out, I'm perfectly fine.
Exactly.
I'd be like, well, We beat the Chiefs, took them out of the playoffs. We beat the Steelers, took them out of the playoffs. And yeah, we got bounced, but we'll be better next year. Let's go. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. We appreciate all your comments. Everybody that's watching, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Hit the bell notification so you know when we go live. And like I said, appreciate everybody. Like we had so many comments and so many people watching tonight. It was ridiculous. So, but we appreciate that, guys. You know, and friends, family, send everybody this way and come over and watch our show. We do this every week after the Broncos game. We also do our prediction videos like the Saturday or whatever before. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. And Mohammed, I'll see you next week, man.
All right, take care.
Later.